Good morning. Guess I'll just babble a little bit until a few people get in here. It's along the same lines, but I just can't keep chasing Mandela effects. I mean, it's over for me. Even when I see them now, I blow them off. But of course, I'll be at the bar and I'll talk to somebody and I'll tell them, hey, yo, this, that. And I have about 3 hours of information that I videotaped. And I've been thinking about just linking it all together in one of these live things, but I don't know how it's coming out. I don't know if it'll be worth it. I was going to do a trivia night over at the coffee shop next door tomorrow night. That has been postponed till next Thursday. So next week I might not do this, or I may, who knows, and just do a live trivia night. I'm all set with my questions there for the most part. I mean, I only need 50 questions, and there are 80 Mandela effects in front of me or such, so it's fine. But yeah, I picked up a few new ones that you probably can't even see. What we got here? I got Leanne Rhymes and Barbara Streisand cassettes. Cat in the Hat book there. Dr. Seuss comes up better. And these here below the cassettes, Titanic, I heard there's a scene that's different. I wouldn't know the difference. I got Thomas the Tank and Friends, Lion and the Lamb, Adam's Family, and Silence of the Lambs. Wondering when the S is going to drop off on that. But I am absolutely done touching my book. I'm waiting on, and I really didn't think I'd be waiting on them at all. I'm waiting on Photo Helix to finish up the cover and the chapter art, which we've been going back and forth on that, and it really looks like it's going to come out really nice. I'm looking forward to that. And maybe he'll come on here and we'll chat about it. So I have I have plenty of content, but I don't know. See if I can. So what's going on this week? I have no content because I've been so busy. This is one of the busiest weekends of the year up here. They do ski joring, and yeah, and they pile up snow in the middle of the street and have these horses jump and do. Well, the horses aren't doing tricks. People are skiing and jumping on ramps, and it's a big weekend up here. We were packed. It was doing 12-hour days, and I'm out of the loop. So if anybody wants to fill me in, any big Mandela effects going on, who cares? I'm not chasing them because I was thinking I have that straw analogy where I have a bunch of straws in one hand, and well, I got somebody asking me for a link, so I'm guessing they didn't get it. I was thinking about my analogy. Now, I got all the straws, and let me try it again. and all the infinite timelines inside this hand, all the straws within different parameters, a little bit off from each other. And, there's very slight changes. Over here, we have another one where we will see a much larger change. And we're in this physical reality, going through it. Timelines. How does that really affect you? For me, I have to analyze everything to the bone. So, I'll have this theory about my consciousness is the only thing that's real. And that's what's shifting through, I'll say, timelines or dimensions. Um, for me, yeah, I want it analyzed. I need to understand why. But it's really not necessary. The only thing that's really necessary is that you keep a high vibration and create. And because that's what we're doing. That's what it comes down to. It comes to right now and what's happening now. Because once we learn to create what we desire, the future's not going to matter anymore. Neither will the past. We see that doesn't matter now. But the future really won't matter. I mean, my whole life I got used to working week to week. Never saved a dime because I always figured, let me get these bills paid that I have interest on before I start putting money away. Made sense to me. I was just used to living week to week. I never really planned for the future financially. Never had to. And that's basically what I'm doing anywhere now as far as money goes. I always have it when I need it. If there's anything I need, I have it, and I always have. So why worry about it? Why struggle? Jamie, yeah, I'm looking at the chat here. He said rules for 8 Ball have changed for me. In the bar with the pool table right up front, I've noticed people playing different rules, but only stuff like if you scratch, is it ball in hand or is it going down the other of the table? Do you have to call every shot? Do you have to call every pocket? And I always just assumed that was based on the individuals playing. Hey, Nobleness, I actually sent a link. I don't know if you actually got it. I don't know if anybody got it. I got a photo over here telling me to send them a link. I sent links. I want to apologize to Scott Harrison because I sent him a link first, and nope, nobody seems to be getting on here. And this is totally my fault. I mean, I can't even get the. I even text Guy Fawkes. He's like, "Oh no, I'll be sleeping, pal." I figure I could call him, right? Tell me at least got an email photo. Anyway, like I said, I was out of the loop because I was so busy. What was I saying about the timelines? Yeah, it doesn't really matter. I mean, while I was writing the book, I was going through this whole description on how intricate it would be or is, if it is, but how your consciousness is. I mean, I picture it like I'm running through movie frames, creating time and physical reality around me. that's what I'm doing. The physical reality is stationary, and I'm flipping through it. But does that really matter? If I can focus my consciousness, my desires, along with my heart, and push energy out to a point where these things are creating, I'm hitting send. Let me try sending it from a different email. It's a shame because I really want to ramble on about this and I keep getting distracted. All right. Where's a cat here? Did they just jump up in the screen? I don't. Yeah. Actually, all week I've just been picking this stuff back up. They jump up here, and actually, I have a deer over here. I have that because Rachel, I'm a butcher. Friendstra said something about deer being able to swim across the lake, or I wouldn't know the difference. I figure she sure would. She's an animal lover. Not that I'm not. But that's why I got that deer over there. But Prince will jump up there, pick it up by the antlers, and just go chew on it for a while. And I'm surprised Velasic hasn't broke. It's fallen. King Tut fell. All the stuff, all the cassettes, the VCRs, everything just went crashing down. Although I think some of that might have been my fault. Are you sure? Yeah, we're still there. Yeah, it'll be up here. I could spray some catnip up here, get them going. But anyway, I always.
Hey, bro.
There we are. We got somebody in. Hello, Mr. Photo Helix. Yeah,
Can you hear me?
I can now, yes, sir. I got to tell you, I've been having so many problems. When I first started to get on here, the sound went. I had to restart my whole computer. I figure, I'm targeted. So it must be the email. Maybe that's what it is. So
it might be. I don't know. How's this sound on this? Let me get my coffee and I'm just trying to get in. Yeah, and then I'll put my headset on. That way I can talk with you a little better. I don't know how good the connection.
You got this now. I might be able to send this to Scotty Harrison, who I told him.
Yeah, I had to copy and paste it.
I don't know what's going on.
I got it last time. All right, I'll be right back. But I'm on here now.
Cool. So where was I before I was interrupted again?
Oh yeah, blame me for the interruption.
No, I got this thought going on. That's all. I'm thinking, you know what? Just line up your desire with your heart and know what's going to happen. There's a lot more to it that I do, but it's been working. And the funny thing is when I do something like that, I know when it's not going to work. I already know. I'm like, no, I'm desiring that. I'm feeling it. I'm putting out the emotion, everything I do. And it comes back as, no, that's not really what you want or you don't need it. And I know right away. It just doesn't even bother. I don't even bother. And, I don't know. I already started thinking about writing the second book and just starting with the whole yield sign thing. I went ahead back and found a tape a video of me driving by a yield sign, filming it, figuring, hey, I could show people this instead of Googling it. I could say, look, I drove right by it. And as I was driving by, I grabbed my phone and I was filming it and I just laughed, put it down. That was the end of it. I was looking at it today and it's an upside down triangle. But when I filmed it, it was a diamond. And it was weird because I remember having to look at it a few times when I did that. Back with your coffee, John?
Yeah, I got the coffee. I'm trying to get in here on this headset, see if this works.
Mm-hmm.
Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay. Is that better now?
It wasn't bad.
Yeah, I got my coffee, and this way I can. I'm hoping to cut out some of the background noise. I may not be able to watch the chat room.
Oh, that's fine.
But I can just sit and chat with you.
You know, if I run out of content, I'll run over and ask what do they want to do. But no.
You a room, it looks like, bro.
Well, not
all getting more and more built up there, and you're hiding.
You're starting to lose me. I did go out to a thrift shop down the street, and I had to laugh because I ran in like every VCR I was looking at was some sort of Mandela effect. I'm like, for 50 cents a piece, I figure, let me grab them. I mean, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or 6 there in front of me, and I'm not I mean, the Lion and the Lamb, yeah. Thomas the Tank Engine and Friends. Yeah, I'm affected by that too. The other ones are other people I've heard them talk about, like the Life thing over there. I picked up. I heard the L changed. I used to eat Life all the time. It does look different, but I don't know. I don't think I would have noticed that change. And this, the Listerine, cracks me up because I've noticed that probably for the whole last 2 years and never brought it up. Well, I don't know, but yeah, I couldn't resist. I saw Leanne Rimes and Barbara Streisand cassettes. Both of her last name on Rhymes is different than I recall, and Barbara. You know, my mom was big into Barbara Streisand back in the day, but I didn't sit there and analyze how her first name was spelled. It was hard enough listening to it, I guess. I don't know. I was into the Beach Boys. I don't know. But what are you doing? Some more drawings for the book, John?
Yeah. I got all kinds of crazy things going on, man.
Yeah.
That's doing some stuff for Rachel, hers, and then yeah, I'm working on your book, and then doing working on her. She's doing this thing for ABC, I guess it is, or whatever. We're gonna do something about Mandela effect. I don't know. That's what she's pitching, so we'll see how that goes, right? But yeah, man. I mean, living a normal life, you know, if that makes sense. If there's anything normal.
Yeah, right. Anymore. And what is it? I mean, I don't think we have much longer to wait.
I don't know if you can see it.
What did you say? I missed that. Broke up. I'm getting all
what?
kinds.
What do you mean, bro?
No, I'm just looking at. You broke up. You said something.
I was asking. You see our chat on the inside, right? I mean,
I don't understand what you're saying. I'm sorry, John. I'm distracted. I'm getting all these mail delivery systems back. So nobody's getting these emails.
I don't know if it's how you're sending them. If you're going through the Google chat thing or the link, that kind of deal, if that's how you're sending them out, that could be part of the problem. You may have to
I'm
copy paste a link. Or
some things here that are saying the email does not exist. So
Isn't that interesting? Now, what all can you actually see on your screen? I don't know. Are you seeing the local chat? Or are you seeing the little Google Hangout chat with you and me? The
I see
private
Google
part?
chat with you and me. When I talk, I come up. When you talk, your icon comes up, which is fine.
Yeah, that's in the public eye.
Right. That's what I'm saying. I can go, I got the other screen where I can see chat every once in a while, but trying to.
Okay, so you see what's in here with me and you, and then you see what's out there with you.
Yeah, I could see both. Not at the same time, but I
Okay.
can. And I got my email up. And I keep getting mail delivery things back.
I got up at 3:30, and my wife had set my clock for 4 a.m. because I told her you were going to be on at 4 a.m. So she set the clock for me. I crashed early, man.
Wow.
Here I am.
Well, I appreciate it.
What time? It's 2 a.m. there, right?
It's right now. It is 2:31. And I just started doing this.
Only 2 hours difference then, because I'm 4:31 here.
Okay. I only started doing this because I would get up here after work looking for something, and I noticed other people have insomnia as well. So I figured, hey, get them in here and chat, talk some stuff, let them chat.
Just coming down for the night. I mean, you had the bar going on and stuff, right? Today, I mean, you haven't crashed yet. That's what I'm saying. You're just wrapping up from work.
No, Tuesdays were actually closed. The whole place is, they knocked the whole place down. Just this way we get the maintenance man during the day coming in here, still changing things around. And 2 other people go, sometimes myself, go down to Denver, 2-hour ride to pick up supplies. That's an all-day thing. That's 6-7 hours. They did that today. I just took the day off. But I was, noticing, I'm like, I take the day off. By the time this comes around, I'm waiting for it. It gets here, it's too late. If I don't get any sleeping or anything. But I've been like just now. I woke up about 1 o'clock, got on here, had all kinds of sound problems, and it worked out. Whatever, I got on. But if it was after work, I'd be more into it. Kind of winding down. The show'd probably be 2-3 hours long max. Now I'm all pumped up and I'm just yapping away. Hopefully good content. And next thing I know, it's 5 hours later. But yeah, so I've been thinking about changing my little format here to Thursday mornings at 2 a.m. This way I'll get out of work, get the wind down a little, and I'll be able to pop in here with some content. But like I was saying before you got on, I was so busy this weekend. I'm so out of the loop. I don't know. Everything. I mean, I totally noticed some major shifty stuff going on. But like I said, I'm not chasing the stuff anymore. I blow it off and go, okay, just move on. A lot of good vibrations, emotions. I'm feeling really good for good 2 weeks now, ever since the first full moon of March. I don't know why I always coincide things with the full moon. But I see and feel physical changes, and when I see things and feel the physical changes with this full moon thing. This last one, everything's been great. And people have been talking about how there's no strange line clouds in the sky. I've noticed that too. Things have been great. Well, I'm getting Texas back here, so maybe I don't know. So what you still what's up with you, John?
Well, my mom, she's a little under the weather, and so I'm probably going to have to take her down to a doctor today. She's had health, I think, maybe, and so I got to take her down to Chattanooga. We're going to take her down there, and she's doing her follow up. I mean, it's no major thing. I don't think. Praying it ain't right.
Yeah,
But
sure everything will work
she's been
out.
under the weather a little bit. Yeah.
Well, I told you this
I thought
afternoon.
nobleness was. Yeah, go ahead.
I sent him a link. I sent him a couple links. I sent everybody 2 or 3 links. He was in here earlier as far as chat. Like I told you this afternoon, at 27,000 words in this book, I was done, and I'm up to 38 plus. And a whole nother
You're writing a novel. It's a novel, brother.
It's actually pretty good. If I do say myself, yes, I'm all over the place, but I think it's necessary just because I don't know. I started out time wise, late 2014 into 15. But then as things start happening and I start noticing, I'll go back I'm like, oh yeah, that happened 3 months ago. That's the same kind of thing here. So I do jump around, but I think I keep it organized. And I don't know, I've started the thing 3 times, so there's 3 introductions. I've ended it 3 times, so there's 3 endings. I'm done. I'm done writing. I'm actually, waiting. Have you written or drew any of the chapter art yet?
Yeah, I've already made a few sketches on that stuff. I'm gonna try and send them all to you at one time.
Okay, because that's what I want to do. Is there going to be a way for me to copy and paste these into this?
I would think so. Yeah, you could take it. I mean, just like you would a photo. I mean, you put it down. If you got somebody that's actually putting it together for you, I think just you send them the art or whatever, right at the beginning, and they could put it in there. But yeah,
Hell, I
you
have
could
to.
shrink it, I would imagine. I don't know how they want it.
Well, if you
They
sent
want you
me
to do it.
if you sent me each drawing individually, I'd probably be able to pop it in there myself.
Yeah, that's all you got
Okay.
to do. Just take and cut. You can take the photo and cut and paste it, and I'm not going to make it as big. It's by 9. All those others that I sent you for the covers and stuff, those are all 6 by 9 laid out. So
Oh, good. That should work.
but you'll be able to do those.
I'm thinking if I knew how to screen share without screwing it all up, I'd put some of those pictures up now. But I'm so sure I'd mess that up.
I don't know. You gotta pop stuff out, and then you gotta have a separate thing. Otherwise, you show everybody your whole control board or whatever. I'm not
Yeah.
explain it to me more than once, but Dan's got it down pat. Him and Paul, they've got it pretty well. I don't fool with it really.
It's a hassle. Every time I get on here, for some reason, the microphone doesn't work. I go troubleshoot. It'll either pop it on or make me restart my computer. This last time it made me restart. I had the most awful sounds coming through these headphones. So, I don't know.
I'm on a different. I'm just through a laptop on a wireless right now, so I'm not even tapped into my main line. So I've got a slow connection. I can do the conversation, but the chat over there, I'm trying to watch it like on the other, just really spot and hit. You don't have any wrench bearers in there, bro?
No. Why is there
You'll
anybody?
need those. You'll.
I don't. they get deleted from my channel. I don't even care. But yeah, nobleness
Well,
was in
now
there.
the new chat thing, it runs continuous. Yeah, he was in there.
I think
He
he's
was
in here
carrying
now.
reach, but he's gone now.
I think I'm in here too.
Yeah.
How's she going?
What's up, nobleness?
I hope I'm in here.
Is he?
In some reality or another, I'm in here.
Oh, you're in here, bro. You can tell him how to work all this. Yeah.
Quite a few timelines.
There you
are
go.
in here. Well, I did send
Your conversation over there at Bud's Armor.
Oh yeah.
Where we at? I did send the same link to Scott Harrison, so maybe he picked it up. Oh, that's right. That might be one of the ones that kept coming back saying this is not an address. So forget about that.
Yeah, I've never got to talk to Scott directly.
Yeah, see, that would have been fun. I got his email off of his site. I'm sure it's because he's on the other side of the pond. It's just not going through, or maybe I'm not sending it right. I mean, that's definitely a possibility. I've sent 4 or 5 invites to the same people tonight.
He's probably asleep. It's like he might be back awake now.
Yeah,
it's probably 10, 11 o'clock. Yeah.
I thought.
How many times did it take you to get it to my email?
4 or 5 times, and I was just using different emails to send it from, and now I know where to send it from. So, I don't know. All right, what do you guys want to chat about? You're in my book, both of you.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't, kind of like you, I haven't chased too many Mandela effects lately. I did see that this was brought up in your chat too, just at the beginning there, the KKK. Did you catch that one?
No, what's that about?
What does the KKK stand for?
Kiko Man.
Your words.
Wow, I have no idea.
The KKK. How do you pronounce that?
Ku Klux Klan, right?
Ku Klux Klan.
Yeah. And now it's the Ku. Ku.
Ku Klux Klan.
No L. Wow.
No L in the first word now. Yeah, that's a pretty solid one, I'd have to say. I looked into it. I mean, it's solid. Like, there's tons of residue, but officially and in lots of it now, it's no L. And I don't know of 2 different ways to have it, you know. So it looks like a solid Mandela effect.
And this is just recent.
Yeah, in the past week or whatever, few days.
And that's about the same time the yield sign changed for me again. And we had that conversation. It sounds like there might have been a shift recently, but but like I was saying, does it really matter? I mean, we're still here. We're still experiencing something. You know, and I keep thinking, well, yeah, we can create. So I go out and do these things and I can feel these things. But is that what I'm really doing? You know, I could sit here and analyze all this stuff to the bone, and it always comes down to right now. It's the only thing that seems.
Well, now in the future, I think the future has some effect on what's happening now. So,
and so does the past. So
very likely can. Very likely. Who knows, right? Seems that way.
That's what we're here all talking about, right? I don't know.
According to some quantum mechanic experiments, it does.
Yeah, but is that stuff important? You know, what's important? Come on, Noble, you got something for me.
What's important?
Yeah, well, I mean, what's important
Well,
is
I don't know.
not
That's
not
kind of a
chasing.
religious angle. I'd probably answer that one.
Well,
A
what's
relationship with each other and God, I would say. Um, truth is important.
well, once you have your relationship with God, then where do you go? I mean,
You worry about other people's relationship with God.
why would you do that? I disagree. I don't think you should worry about anything. They're gonna,
You asking.
especially if it's quantum, they're gonna get it when they get it.
Mhm.
I do believe it's up to us to, speak about it. And we've witnessed it, so talk about it, and maybe they'll latch on. But no, I'm not going to worry. I'll,
So why are you out here spending these time? Oh,
what's that? Johnny, how bad are you lagging?
Photo.
I'm sure he had something interesting to help me with. Not worried about other people, but I will help. I will put this stuff out because.
are you there, bro?
Yeah, we're waiting on you.
I might be like, I may have to change computers, bro.
All right.
I'm gonna have to change.
Go ahead, do what you got to do. You keep breaking up.
Yeah, I'm on a bad connection. I'm gonna have to.
All right, do that. Come on, leave, come back, whatever you got to do. Where was I? Noble this day?
Well, you were saying that other people will see it when they see it. I guess maybe if they see it. I don't necessarily think so because multiple possible reasons. One, the obvious that the majority of the world is spinning in circles on life, money, and stress. They're brainwashed and dumbfounded by screens and TV and drama. And there may just be a greater deception on the go at the same time. So I think they could use our help.
Yeah, I agree. As far as, okay, we are, and I'm using Bible terms of all things, we're the witnesses to these things, and we're going out and telling people. Now, if it's quantum and them getting it when they get it, it really doesn't matter. But I still feel like us talking about it, getting the information out, and if the theory about infinite timelines holds, then yeah, eventually on some timeline they're going to pick it up. But if it's not quantum, I mean, even if it's not quantum, the way I was just saying, then it probably is in some form. At least that's what I resonate with. But I don't know. It's probably something more
It could be,
complicated.
to me, quantum and spiritual is the same thing
Well, see, now that's
at some point
great.
or in some connection. Right. I mean, I don't mean spiritual life as in, our spirit life. I just mean the spiritual realm that I think our physical realm is constructed on top of or comes from. And the quantum is basically the physical analyzing of some of the of that spiritual, or a little bit, right? A hint into that spiritual nature of our reality, or that energy nature of our reality. So to me, it's all the same thing, at least in some connections.
I could agree with that. See, and then I get to, well, I've been taught that spiritual reality is our actual state of being. That's how we actually are. and physical reality is what we're experiencing, and we're spirits. Well, how do we know that? I mean, I've had out of body experiences, so
Right.
I tend to think, yeah, there's something else beyond this physical body. I mean, I recall, not in my book, by the way, laying in bed, I came out of my body. I was actually trying to, probably too hard. I would always meditate and get to that point and fall asleep or whatever. This one time I let go. I just meditated and let go. I remember the best way I could describe it is pouring out of my forehead. I poured out of my forehead. I was in my room, which was pitch black. I had 37 cents on the bureau, and I just knew it. I didn't know when I came home, I just took my change out of the pocket, threw it on a bureau. I don't know how much was there, but when I was up and out, I knew that's something I noticed. And I also noticed that I felt whole, solid, huge, big. And as far as it was more real, even though it was etheric. And so, yeah, I know something is there other than the physical body from my experience.
And that 37 cents, it isn't like you went over and counted it. You just knew there was 37 cents there.
Yeah.
Like information.
And what happened was I was actually, that 37 cents wasn't even the big part of the story. I'm remembering now. I just was glancing around the room. I noticed green patches of little green clouds in the corners of the room. I figured that was some kind of negative energy. And I also noticed the digital clock. Okay, now I saw a 2, and I said, wow, I don't know. I said something to myself. I wasn't verbally or anything. It was just, what is that or something like that. And instead of me going to it, it came to me. And I had a digital 2 on top of me, like this big, and it scared the crap out of me. And it's what woke me up. And I got up, and I'm walking around, and I'm going, I did it. I did it. And I thought, oh, how much money's on the bureau? It was 37 cents. And I was just like, wow. And not long after that, I came out again, poured out of my forehead, hovering over the bed, and I saw some being, a dark cloud in the other room trying to get into the other room from outside. And it came around to my window, and I just observed. I had nothing to do with anything. It was coming into the room, and then all of a sudden my window just lit up real bright, and it was gone, which scared me. And I came back, jumped back in my body again. There were 2 of the 3 times I remembered having it. The other one was a lucid dream in Mississippi. The only time I recall doing that. But Mississippi was a strange bird in itself. But
that's pretty crazy. You're seeing dark entities trying to get in your room.
I think that's what it was. I remember, I'm remembering all this now. I remember not wanting to go to sleep, put on the TV. I'm just sitting there like, I can't go to sleep now. Fell asleep, and as soon as I fell asleep, shot out of my body again, and I realized what I did, and I got scared again and woke back up. I was like, this is nuts. I'm constant for years trying to have an out-of-body experience. Now I can't stop. But yeah, that was, we're talking 90s when that happened.
Yeah. It's certainly
So
possible, like that it's risky, right? In ways it could be. You could be vulnerable in that your body could be vulnerable if you're not in it, is one perspective.
yeah, sure, but
But
how
who
do we
knows,
know?
apparently you were, well, you're not the first person to do astral projection, that's for sure. There is something protecting you in that circumstance, at least that bright light at the window. Whether that's something that came from your thoughts, it doesn't sound like it. You seem to just be observing, so something was helping you out there, it seems, I would say.
Yeah, there's more to physical reality. So yeah, we can go with that. I don't have a problem with that. It's because it's more than just something I was told. There's an experience there. So assuming there is more to physical reality, how come we don't remember? Okay, there's all kinds of stories why we don't remember. Because if we knew what it was like to not be physical, I'm pretty sure we'd have a lot more answers than we do. We'd know, I don't know. I don't even know how to get out. Do we want to get out? Are we supposed to get out?
The
Is
world would
this,
be a different
oh, it would,
society, and the world would be a different place, right? People
oh,
would have different outlooks on
amazingly.
everything.
Sure.
So, I mean, given, if I look at the Tower of Babel type of story, it seems to indicate that we were at a different point at one time. If they were like doing things that were incredible, right? I say incredible meaning like far beyond regular physical reality stuff. That story seems to point at that, as does the story point at our abilities being limited at that point in time, because we were getting a little bit further than we were supposed to be, apparently. That's the story.
Well, see, that's the thing. Who's saying we're further than we were supposed to be? Because I'm pretty sure we're held back a little bit now as far as where we're
Right.
supposed to be. I mean, who's to say?
Supposed to be is it comes into question too, right? But
Yeah.
what we could be, yeah, it all depends.
Well, I guess,
Why would there's so much. I mean, obviously, I don't know. I think there's sort of obvious conclusions one seems needs to come to. If we were more or supposed to be more, we could it's almost like everything points at something else going on. Now, I'm not saying it proves that there's a God, but it certainly points at some sort of other, um, you know, function of something that is happening, or a process or something that doesn't just have a beginning and moving forward in a normal progression. Like,
well,
it
this is
seems
making,
even if you look at the past, at how much you have these unbelievable freaking structures that were not made. It really doesn't seem like they were made with technology as we understand physical modern technology, but yet they were made in ways we can not figure out how on earth they were made. Like, something's weird about the past. Clearly, that is of higher ability.
so is there a way we can determine that we were something before we were physical? I mean, I know we have spirit now, but we don't know that this wasn't the first time that we've been here.
Mhm.
I mean, just in stories. I mean, this could be our evolution. I hate even using that word, but
Yeah, I know what you mean, though.
this could be our progressive state, and we could be moving on from this point. That whole thing where, okay, we're at this point, we become physical, and then it goes, and we go all the way down to as dense as we can get, and then we come back up. and we get lighter in vibration. And have you heard that, like a 357-year cycle or something? We just the outer space or the central sun we go around, supposedly. I mean, I hate even bringing that up.
No, not
Well, that's
really.
the thing, because that was
I've heard
all
of some
new.
other cycles, but
Yeah, and that, well, whatever it was, it doesn't make sense to me to keep going back. Like, wait a minute, why? It, okay, to experience it already did. Why are we doing this circle thing? I think it would be something that would just constantly progress, and we would learn and experience different levels of life, reality, dimensions, whatever. And
it's
this,
possible that kind of like if you look at well, let's assume that we have the solar system model type of thing. And if you have an Earth that's going around the sun, it's not actually just going around the sun, everything's moving. So it's really a corkscrew path.
right.
And if we are on a learning setup that seems like we're going around in circles, but really we're moving forward in similar nature, and our DNA is of similar nature in shape. It's like a corkscrew, right?
Interesting, yeah.
So it might seem like we're not getting anywhere, but perhaps we are in ways that we just don't understand.
That's if we're going with that space model.
I'm just using that as an example of what
Oh,
I meant.
I know. It's so hard for me to still, even at the bar, people bring it up. Oh, it's the flat Earth guy. I'm like, no, I don't know, and I can't worry about it, and I don't care, and I think that whole thing is a distraction, just as much as anything else out there. This is making me sick, just looking at all this stuff.
It seems to be multiplying, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I have over 80 items here, and I'd say maybe 3 of them are duplicates. I picked up the Pikachu mug and a bunch of VCR tapes that just were all Mandela effects. When I was going through them, I'm like, well, I got to get them for 50 cents, right? I have nowhere to put anything now, so I can't be buying anything else. I mean, this is ridiculous. I started out buying a couple of the Mandela effects that I resonated with, that I really felt like were changes. And I'd walk around this
Look at the book.
house. What's that?
You got Stasha's book, don't you?
Yeah, that's over here under Mickey. So I got 5 books here.
What do you think? Do you think her name seems different to you?
Stasha Erickson?
Her last name.
I thought her last name changed.
Yeah.
Erickson. ERIKSEN. That's how I remember it. How's it spelled?
Oh, well, then you remember it as it is right now.
ERIKSEN. Stasha. Yeah. I mean, when I first was chatting with her on email and stuff, I think I kept typing Sasha, and I knew that wasn't her name. It was Stasha for sure, but her last name is how I remember it. Although I did used to speak with somebody in the 90s whose last name was Dickerson, and now it's Dickinson. At least that's what I thought. Now, when I talked to her about that, she's like, no. Well, of course. If somebody told me my last name changed, I'm not going to say it.
No, of course not. No, I knew it as SON, definitely.
Oh,
and actually
really?
CK. Well, completely. Eric CK SON, son. And to me, I'm very simple in my reading and my spelling. Like, I'm not a great speller. I'm not even a great reader. But I say things very clearly certain ways, like almost wrong, right? So I'll say Erickson, but if it's SEN, I'll say Erickson, basically. So to me, it's almost 2 different words. Another example is a place in Ontario that changed its name, and it was Prairie Sound. but it's not. It was supposed to be pronounced Perry sound. And I'm just simple, and I'll say prairie, like, you know, out on the range, the prairies, right? Because it was spelled Perry. So I pronounced it P-E-R, prairie, right? The prairie sound. But it was actually supposed to be pronounced like a name, Perry, and now it is called Perry, is in P-A-R-R-Y. So
Huh.
it sounds the same, but to me, it's totally different. Like, it's not Perry, it's prairie, but the spelling of prairie, I'm pronouncing it wrong, actually, right, in the first place. But so to me, it was quite clear.
Hey, I made it back in, I think.
Yeah, yes, you did.
Okay.
Excellent.
Yeah, keep
What
us
I
talking.
miss? What I miss?
Not much. I'm surprised that there's any silence at all with us three in this room. But yeah, me and Noble, we're just trying to figure it out. We almost did. But
Yeah, but almost had it solved, right?
Yeah, and then we got distracted. And
you know, something from the past, as we were talking a little bit, we hinted on some past stuff, Egyptian or whatnot, a little bit, but something I had heard that at one time, a few years back, that made a lot of, or seemed to make sense, or, you know, was quite possible, is a lot of these ancient civilizations, different ones that might have been, if there was a flood, might have been before or after. I don't know. Some of them seems like they were after. It seemed someone was pointing out the fact that like when we learn about them scientifically or historically, we always learn, oh, they were a bunch of, you know, like animals, and they chopped off heads, and they may have, but there's a lot of indications that that's not how they started. They were actually a thriving society, and then things went bad, and then they disappeared. And it looks as if it's quite possible that that was a reoccurring situation all over the world. So essentially, when you break it down, it's like a society got going, they lost their morals, and they disappeared, for lack of a better term. And it seems to fit in, you know, for quite a few different societies. Definitely a couple in the South American side. But so it's interesting.
Is it that these people lost their morals, or that they were tempted to lose their morals, failed, move on, next scene, next civilization? I mean, if that's the case, seems like it's like when you, I don't know. See,
seems like we're in trouble.
Yeah, because
that's what it sounds like.
But that's because of the sheep. And I hate, that's what I didn't want to do. I'm not going to label people. I'm not going to attack. I'm just saying it's so much easier to just have a real good hard day's work. And I noticed that this weekend. I was doing 12-hour days, and I mean, just running around, picking up tables nonstop. When I got to the bar at 6, it was just nonstop. Felt really good. Came upstairs, and I knew I had to go to sleep soon because it was going to happen again the next day. And what did I want to do? I didn't want to look up Mandela effects. It would have been so easy just to sit down, put on some TV. God, I even want to say watch some news, God forbid, and then crash. You know, whereas I wouldn't. I would come over, put the book up, not do anything to it, stare at it, go play a game of chess online or something, and then go to bed. But I could see where it's so easy to just dumb down your mind, put on some baseball. I mean, see, if I'm guilty of any kind of distraction where I just go after it, it's baseball. And I could change that to hockey. I mean, it's like that's my one little outlet. You know, it's if I'm going to distract myself, I lean towards baseball. It's easier.
I think there's a number of factors. Like, primarily, we're stressed out. The way our whole financial setup is, you know, in order to exist, we're stressed out. we're becoming, of course, modernly more and more disconnected from the reality around us, for lack of a better term, right? With screens and whatnot. And a breakdown, of course, of family relationship, community. All
God,
that
was
broke
happening
down,
in the
whether that's
70s.
right. That's
They
not that
planted
long
that
ago
long
when you're looking at the human race. That was fairly recent, right?
Right.
So yeah, I mean that's why you want to get, like, anybody would want to get away or just, veg out, because freaking life is stressful, right?
Yeah, but why? They made it like that. No, they didn't do anything to us. We let them. Okay, we let them
Probably
dumb
both.
us down. They were like, wait, we can make food quicker and easier. Oh yeah, okay. We let them. We let them do this.
But the majority of people in the United States don't even know how to grow a tomato plant.
And that would probably include me.
You know what works really freaking amazing? Because most people will grow a tomato plant from a little sprout because they're so cheap, and it's a lot easier than trying to do seeds with them things, which I have done, but it whatever. You take your little tomato plant and you put in under the ground before you plant it a little bit of Epsom salt and a Tums, and then you plant the thing. That thing will grow like a jungle. It's absolutely incredible. It grows so much you got to put supports up everywhere because it'll just break itself down. But I think it's the mixture of salt and calcium that gives it that structure to build. Unbelievable. And as far as I can tell, there's nothing like chemically or anything bad about it. There isn't too much in a Tums, and Epsom salt's no big deal. It's funny. They just blow up. It's incredible.
I'm just going to say yes, Photo Helix, but I wouldn't know where to reply to that. I don't know how you did that. Did you see that? Nobleness. I don't know. Maybe he's not looking at the screen.
Just on your Google Hangout, on the Google Hangout, you got a little chat thing here on the side where it's just you and me and Noble that see it.
Oh, okay. I see that.
We have a little chat thing here where we can chat.
And how come you don't?
You know what I'm talking about, Noble, don't you?
Yeah, it's already popped up on my screen.
Yeah.
Sometimes if you put your arrow to the left or right, you'll see a little message line pop up. I'm not sure which version you have running right now. There seems to be two different versions. Mine's on the right-hand side.
Honestly, I'm afraid to touch anything. I mean, we saw what happened last week. I was all over the place. How?
Oh, the blue. The other one is the blue up in the left. There's a little blue square. You just click on that.
Not sure I want to
In
touch
the screen that shows your video, basically.
Put something in chat, Photo. Oh wait, maybe I could do it this way. And it doesn't say you're in there. What? Yeah, I'm thrilled right now. You know what? This is what I'll do. Do that. All right. There we go. Hey, where are we at? Are we on a live show here?
I think so. I don't know what Noble's doing. Noble, you got a wrench, don't you, bro?
Yeah, he does. I'm trying to give you one, John. Put something in the chat so I can give you a wrench.
I'm not in the chat room. I'm not signed in over there.
Oh.
I can go. I see.
I don't know how else to do it unless you're in there.
Okay, I can sign in, I guess, on
You
that.
don't have to,
Let's see if I can get in there. I'm on this other one now, so probably it's just going to take a minute to get over there. Hold on. Trying. I'm still on this delayed thing, but I mean, I'm in here now. You guys got me a pretty good line, right? I mean, you can hear me pretty well.
Yeah.
It's the same setup as what I use over there on the after hours thing. So, there we go.
So I guess what me and Nobleness were talking about is
Yeah,
I was trying to figure out if physical reality, what came first, the physical reality or the spiritual reality? Why are we going back and forth? If we already had the knowledge, some knowledge, whatever, what did we come here for? To experience individuality, time, motion.
I couldn't tell you. That's like asking what's the meaning of life, right?
Well,
I like your last one, emotion. I'd like to point out something I figured out, if I can remember how it goes. I figured out not long ago. When it comes to emotion, and fear being one of them, in fact. And I know fear is spoken of and looked at as a horrible thing all the time. And I don't think it necessarily is. Now, I think fear is bad to have when there's something, some enemy or whatever sort. Fear is not good. But if, for one, like, I think it goes hand in hand with limitation. So if we weren't limited, let's say that, we were all of like God level, right? Ultimate. We don't have any limitation. Without that limitation that we may have, the level of emotion we would have, the impact that would have on us would be extremely minimized. If there was no fear, our whole similar, the way that other emotions would interact would be more limited. And one of the examples is if you have a child, right? You have a child, and the concept of losing that child, the fear of that losing that child, or the child is growing up before they're not a child anymore, or if you're in fear of that, like someone might die tomorrow. It doesn't even have to be a child; could be a loved one, right? They might not be there tomorrow. That little bit of worrisome would have to fall in the category of fear to some degree. So for that reason alone, you would love them more, would do more, or you care more, or you hold the moment more important. I don't know, I'm sure there's another way I can word all that, but I think it's all that the limitation that we may have is very crucial to our learning process. And most of that goes hand in hand with emotion and the level of emotions that we can occur or incur because of our limitations. I think it's critical.
So
does that make any sense?
Yeah, you're saying use fear as a tool.
Certainly, yeah. And I've said that separately in different ways in the past as well. If it wasn't for fear, animals just eat us up.
That's a good point. I mean, you think about this, okay? The human is made up. We have anger, we have fear, we have happiness, we have love. All of these are things that, for the most part, cannot really be seen or witnessed. You can witness their actions that come from those emotions, as it were, or feelings. But with fear, you have that fight or flight kind of thing that comes in. If you didn't have fear of dying, in a sense, then you wouldn't pay attention to traffic laws. You'd walk in the middle of a street. You wouldn't.
No, you wouldn't.
Sure, you would.
If you didn't fear death, you'd just start walking in the middle of traffic.
It's an analogy. It's not necessarily okay.
Okay, I would live with no fear.
I'll give you a different example. Okay, say, let's go to war, man. If you didn't have a fear that the opponent or enemy or whoever it is that's shooting at you is going to blow your head off, you wouldn't be down ducking behind a wall shooting back. You just stand out there and walk across the battlefield, no fear. I mean, it's not an intelligent thing. The point is
like paintball. I mean, you
The
know,
paintball and bullets, you know, from a heavy artillery is a little bit different.
well, not if there's no death, not if you know nobody's getting hurt. It would be the same thing.
Well, yeah, but that's the whole point. There is a death. I mean, some people don't think that, but I don't know very many people that's come back from death to explain it, other than Billy Graham of recent, Jim Neighbors, perhaps, maybe Louis Anderson. I don't know. I mean, you could ask some of these people that have appeared to have died and come back. I haven't seen Charles Bronson back in the news. You know, once dead, he's gone. My point being is that fear can be useful. If you don't have a sense of fear, you wouldn't lock your doors at night. There's, you know, common sense tells you there's a sense of a little bit of fear, I guess, in all of us. The fear of losing someone, or, you know, again, like I said, the analogy of walking in traffic. I mean, if you didn't have fear of getting run over by a car, you wouldn't obey any laws there, because you just walk and expect that it didn't matter if a bus hit you, you're just going to pop back in the next one, and that kind of thing. Jamie in the chat room, I'm over here looking now, says they didn't know they died.
Right, man. I had that experience. You know, I didn't see a light. I didn't see anything. It happened instantly. Did it really happen? I'd have to say, yeah, with all the experiences that were going on with me at the time, yeah, what I described absolutely happened to me without a doubt. And what did I think? I don't know.
Who's the closest person to you that's passed away?
I'll say my father.
Okay. Without being grotesque, is he cremated, or was he buried?
He was cremated.
Do you have his ashes?
I don't.
But you know where they're at?
Not specifically. They're in Delaware somewhere.
Okay. All right. I mean, have they been spread? They're still contained in a container?
I think they're in a container and buried. And
my dad is sitting in a cabinet in somewhere up in Ohio, in the last I seen, in a jar of some sort, or container. He was cremated as well. If I go up there and open up that jar, I mean, his ashes are still there. That's still where his ashes are, the physical, you know. It says, I mean, and of course, you know, Sue, so you got two guys on here that are sort of a religious kind of concept.
I know. So where do I go with my theory that, okay, my father didn't die. His consciousness didn't die. His consciousness either reverted.
Spirit, right, or ruach, the breath, the life, the soul, if you will, still exists, right?
Sure, and I figure he either reverted back to a baby avatar and started physical reality over again because he still has things to learn, which would probably be the case, or he was just done. And you leave physical reality and you're back in and you probably got to go through some process to figure out, wait a minute, why did I just deal with all that, or whatever, you know? But no, I've often come to the possibility that I would probably run into him again soon or someday. That wouldn't even faze me. My friend Ron, who died in 2002, I expect to run into him. See, because for me, and yes, it's just a theory, but this keeps me sane. This keeps me thinking, okay, my analytical mind. My father died for me, and his consciousness went on, and I'll say he continued on living. He recovered from the hospital, came out, and continued his life. And he's still interacting with me on some other timeline. I mean, that's one scenario. Or, like I said, he had to start over again or whatever. But I think depending on where you are, where your focus is, what you're learning, if you're searching for the truth, okay, I don't think there's going to be a death thing the way it's been explained. I don't even think you'll remember or know. I think it was a special circumstance with the impalement thing. And I think it had something to do with me being in pitch black. I think it had something to do with me being in a daze, just waking up. It's like when it happened, I was still half groggy, half asleep. It didn't even really happen. Oh, it happened. And when it did, being in pitch black, not seeing what was going on, if I would have saw that table go through me, I would have believed it. Okay, and maybe I would have reverted back to a baby or got out or whatever. I get out. But I didn't see it. I didn't believe it. I wasn't paying attention to it. I didn't even realize something impaled me until I felt something trying to push out my back. And that's when the fear kicked in. But I realized there was no pain, and fear left me, and it was just, I need to react. I have to do something here now. So what would have happened if I turned the light on and saw that? John, I swear to God, I wish I could.
I got in there on the,
Oh,
in the
did
room.
you? Oh.
Yeah, bro.
You're in there, but you got to chat, I think.
Yeah, I just did. See me?
There you are.
You know, I'm going to take you back, just because still had something on my mind about the emotion thing. For one, I strongly think that all of our thoughts are not emotional based, emotional foundation. I've come to this conclusion ages ago due to some experiences and I'm not even like, well, for one, I'm a guy. For two, I'm a very scientific, mathematic type of minded person, type of thinker, like logical, but I still came to this conclusion thanks to the assistance of some drugs and me overanalyzing and reanalyzing and digging my own thoughts. But I think the analogy I was trying to get to is, if a mother has a child, she's more likely the time she has with that child because of the limitations imposed in this physical realm. I think that's critical to the experience. Point I'd like to make is,
I was just going to say, go one further. Go ahead.
The other point I'd like to point out is, because fear is always looked at as negative, well, not always, but especially nowadays, especially with a lot of the different belief systems happening. You know, fear is bad and love everything. Well, love can be bad. Clearly, there's some crazy people out there that love some really nasty crap. And love is not that simple, right? And I think we simplify things, and these simplifications really get us on dangerous paths that can be then, you know, directed or manipulated, especially when people get in groups of people and they start following other people or certain belief systems. But yeah, I just, whatever. The oversimplifying of things is really dangerous, and
think about this
too. Think more, but
think about this too, with what you're saying about fear and the mother. That's a great place to go for the analogy. You think about the kids, you know, say mom's got a baby in a stroller or whatever, and if she had no fear of somebody taking and kidnapping the baby and running off with it, you know, there'd be strollers sitting everywhere, somebody expecting them to bring them home for them. I mean, you have, you know, there's, just like you said with love and fear, there's so many levels of definition to each word that we use, especially in the English language. We've butchered most poetics of the old languages, because we have a tendency to take one word to describe 10, 20 different things. And so therefore, I think, you know, sometimes the idea of fear for self-preservation versus fear, which creates an anxiety of impending doom. You know, there's a difference there. And people who don't fear death is because they have a belief or some reassurance that their soul will continue on, or that there's something after death, as it were. There's some people that don't fear death, of course, and they think that's because that's just the end of the road. It's a done deal. Most people in the Mandela effect community, most of them, have a concept, I think, of at least something bigger outside, whether it's a god or alien intervention, perhaps, or some sort of whatever. But they have a source of spirituality. They have a belief system of something greater than just us. Obviously, because somebody's pushing the enter button and it's causing changes to our reality. So somebody is doing something. Now, is it human or is it supernatural? Is there an evil force? I mean, you know, when you start getting into it, I mean, what you call evil, there's, again, it's another butchering of the language. What one deems as evil, another person deems not evil at all. For instance, I mean, in some circles, it's okay to, you know, sacrifice humans to whatever belief system, Luciferian type things, in their craft or whatever it is that they're doing, and they think, well, that's okay, that's all good. Whereas the normal everyday Joe, it looks at that and thinks, okay, that's just totally evil. And so it really depends on one's perspective, if that makes sense. And just because one person perceives good, and of course, referring back to scripture, we're living in a day where they call evil for good and good for evil. For the most part, you know, if I tell people I love them and care about them and that kind of thing, you know, and that I pray for them and whatever, just those few words, love you and praying for you and things like that, for the most part, actually draws hatred from people for whatever reason. So you know, it's a strange world we're living in.
I don't understand where it scares people. I love you and praying for you. I understand that. I kind of understand. I don't know. I've told my mother. She's like, I'm praying for you. I'm like, well, there's no need, Mom. You know.
Yeah. Right. And see, and that's the thing, you know. I mean, but in reality, you know, I think one of the reasons when we say, you know, hey, I keep you in my prayers, or I've been praying for you, they automatically assume, oh, there's a religious connotation to that. You know, and so therefore, you know, this person's praying that I'm going to end up in their Mandela effect cult or whatever.
Right. Yeah, I can see that. That's kind of silly. But I want to get back to fear of losing your soul. Maybe it's just from the way I've brought up, or the things that I've learned throughout the years. And Noblesse and I were discussing about, well, do we have spirit? Yeah, I've decided I have a spirit. I have a soul. And we talked about that.
Let me ask one question before you go on. Let me ask one question.
I won't go off. I just want to say I don't fear losing my soul. And I can't understand how anybody would.
Let me ask one question. In the chat room, can you all hear Suso, how he sounds? Or I'll even ask you, Noble, does he sound like he's raspy, or is it on my end?
Yeah, no, your microphone's getting really bad or something.
Is it right now? It's good now?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Suso talks.
It's cutting into the rough. I can barely make out what you're saying.
Really?
Yeah. You've gone.
Yeah, it's rough.
Rogue on us.
Is there a microphone input you can turn? I don't know. Turn down or turn it off and turn it back on, or
We'll give it a shot. Because it sounds fine from this end.
Yeah, you sound really. It says it's interference in the mic.
Check. How about now?
Still a little bit rough. Check
Not
your
really.
volume.
Yeah.
Check your main volume control.
sounds fine to you, eh?
How about now?
Oh no! Now you went down
It's
real low.
Too low, but can you hear me? Am I sounding a little bit better? Too
Well,
high again?
No, it's still cutting in and out and low.
Yeah, you need to keep the volume up. You had the volume was okay. It's just the mic interference is like real scratchy or something. It's like it's breaking up. Sounds like a loose wire in the speaker.
Oh, that's possible. I've been
Yeah,
troubleshooting
but
this thing the whole time. So if I back up, can you hear me?
Yeah, you sound better. Back up and say something.
Yeah, I'm backed up.
Back up one more time.
Put the mic way over here. How about now?
Well, you got
better.
say
Sorry
something.
about
Almost.
this, folks. Sorry
I
about
don't
this,
know.
guys. How's it sound? No?
Still pretty. You was real good there, and then it sounds like
I don't know
David
what I
Lee
did.
says, "Are your feet on the ground?
No.
Put your feet on the ground."
I can't reach the ground. I got these short little dangle legs coming down. I can't reach.
It's all those MEs. We are
Wow.
dusted. It's all those MEs
On
used
the
to run
ground.
it with. Well, see, you're not grounded. That might be it.
Can you hear me now?
That's weird. You were perfect. You were perfect
was
for the longest
perfect.
time, man.
Yeah, and
I
then
don't
all of a
know.
sudden just went.
What the heck, eh? You have a spot on your program to change inputs and then change it back? Might give it a reset. Because if it sounds clear on your end in your ears, then it's not the microphone and it's not the physical connection. It's something in the programming that needs to get reset or something.
I've had problems with this a couple of times.
Yeah, you sound real good there
Weird.
for a while, and now it's like.
I haven't touched the thing. All right.
Yeah, I can make you out anyway.
Hello.
I guess he's gonna unplug his mic and plug it back in. Maybe he said, "Let's pull it." Sounded like a Silverstein move there, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's pull it. There goes the building. Just pull it.
So you cannot hear me. Is that true?
There. You sound good.
Now.
That sounds
What'd you
perfect.
do? Change mics or same mic?
I did what you said. I unplugged it, plugged it back in.
Sounds great.
Yeah. I was coming out of the
That's
speaker,
good.
but I'm not now. So don't get up on it like this.
I'm just missing.
Or does that matter?
Just missing your picture now, your video.
Yeah, you took your video down. Now you got to turn your camera back on, and you'll be set. Too many buttons, isn't it? This is a man who can mix any drink you want, but he can't figure out the button system.
Says I'm muted. What's up with that?
Oh, you're fine. You sound good.
You're on now.
Okay. Well, all I see is the circle.
Yeah. You got to turn your camera on, and then
There you are.
Ooh.
You're back.
And it sounds good.
There you go.
It does.
Sounds
Perfect.
great. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Real good.
I'm gonna try something. I'll probably
No.
No, so I gotta have a tiny bit of humor in here, so I'm probably gonna get copyright strikes for this. You ready? Hey, party people.
Yeah, that is a copyrighted term.
I'm sure. It's great. I don't know what I did.
It's after hours, baby.
This sounds better in the headphones and everything.
Hey, you sound great, man.
Excellent.
It is good.
You look good too.
I'll segue us back around a little bit, perhaps. Something that kind of occurred to me in my thinking. This was long, of course, before Mandela effect. And me overanalyzing things. Because I was looking at our thoughts being emotional based, which I really think they are. And then I'm looking at this concept of good and evil. And when I thought about it, there is no emotion that is a good emotion or an evil emotion. None. And I challenge anyone to give me an emotion that is either completely good or completely evil, because I don't think there is any.
I'm going to totally go. You're good. I don't want to interrupt.
Yeah, no, that's about it. I think it's interesting.
Well, everything
this is
has
like
to
if
have
you were
an
to look
opposite.
I'm glad you brought up
Well,
emotion
it's
again.
To exist, it has to have an opposite.
But emotion, I don't think emotion does necessarily. I
Of
think
course it does.
emotion
You
is the
just, you
foundation
just
of
said it
everything.
has.
There's no duality-ish concepts to emotion, but good and evil is clearly.
Yeah, good and evil. I mean, that's the whole point.
I
I'll say
guess my point
positive and
is that
negative. Positive and
good and
negative.
evil is a fabrication. Would be my claim.
Agreed.
Is that it isn't even supposed to exist. It's a fabrication.
But we couldn't
and
experience
it's not
physical
natural.
reality. We need that duality to experience physical reality, assuming we wanted to do this.
Well, hold on a
to
minute.
experience it in the way we do, perhaps, but I wouldn't say that.
You contradicted what you said, and I'm just trying to find out and make sure that we're on the same page to understand what you're saying.
I do understand what he's saying, but go ahead.
You said that emotions, that you ask anyone to give you or share with you any emotion like love, hate, fear, whatever, that doesn't have both good and negative connotations. In other words,
no, that is entirely one or the other.
Oh, okay. I understand what you're saying.
That isn't completely good or completely evil.
Oh, okay,
there isn't
right.
one
And
that fits only in one category.
That's why I said that everything has to have that opposite, because it has to have either a positive or a negative in the flow. You can't have, like you said, all love is not necessarily a good thing. And of course, again, it's one's perspective of what love is, I suppose. But true love, what they say is love. Just because somebody loves to burn down buildings doesn't necessarily mean it's a good thing. Or the love of money is the root of all evil, right? So again, there's positive and negative connotations on anything. And so, yeah, I don't think anyone.
My point being, under the assumption, the foundation of our thoughts or existence, and I mean like our thinking based existence, which I've had come to the conclusion is emotional based, and good and evil doesn't, none of those emotions fit entirely as only a good or only an evil emotion. It leads me to think quite possibly that the concept of good and evil is fabricated. It's not even true. I wouldn't say it's not true, but it's not proper. Let's say neither one should really exist.
See, I'm going to jump in and say
it was a fabrication. It was created.
How do I segue that into this? We brought up emotion for the last hour and a half.
Well, let me just say this. Scripture says God is love.
Okay, and on that, we'll say good night. No, I'm just. No, it was. This emotion topic, I think, is important because when I was going through my book, I've noticed every single experience I had, my emotions were in an area that I wasn't used to having them. When I was reading on Egyptian beliefs and was reading flat earth material at the same time, and it just hit me. You're not going to prove this to me. You're not going to prove that to me. I was so excited. My emotions were off the chart. I was flying. I walked outside and I had the experience with the stars. The emotion with the orbs, I can't say. I mean, I just woke up there, walked outside with a cigarette and a beer, I believe. And I was very relaxed, but I don't know where the emotion was there. When I had the experience, when my daughter explained to me about this movie she saw, and I was having experiences in Mississippi, my emotions were elevated in this timeline that we pronounce it elevated. I've noticed that, and I'm getting that feeling back as far as I'm thinking back on that now. When I had the emotion off the charts with the stars, good and evil, I think it was my choice. I mean, there was to say, hey, this is good or this is evil. I don't think it was either. It may have been both. I didn't. I mean, if I was scared, it was because hey, stars are coming out of the sky at me. It wasn't because I felt, oh, this is evil, or oh, this is good.
More shocking.
Yeah, I was definitely in shock, please. In the beginning in 15, I mean, I had an experience in late 14. There was no shock. I blew it off as, oh, I made a mistake. That I must have passed out in this room. I mean, not that one. It's like I would blow everything off. And in early 15, when I started noticing things, I was still blowing stuff off. It was like after the impairment, June, July, August is when it really hit. But every time I would see a change in the Mandela effect, I would get excited about it, and then an experience would happen. I would walk into a 1970s garage to use the bathroom, go back a week later, and the place has been modernized for years. But it was always, I was focusing on Mandela effects when this stuff was happening. And I was constantly thinking about it. And I would look up and notice Pepsi changed. And, this can here is close to the way I recall it. But when I first saw the change in spring, summer of 2015, that circle with the wave on the top, wave on the bottom, it was not to be, you could not find it. Okay. And now I've popped it up, talked about it a couple times as a Mandela effect, and all of a sudden I'm seeing the circle on the side of trucks. Granted, I said blue was on the top, red was on the bottom. I'm not 100% sure on that. I said it was written in the middle. Not 100%, but 95% sure that it was written in the middle. The can, the way that looks there, looks pretty similar to what I remember. But the way it is now only turned up for me in 2015. And I remember walking down the street. I was looking for something to eat. I was thinking about Mandela effects. I mean, is this real? I mean, I'm affected by this. How can I blow that off? I mean, my mind was just analyzing everything. And I look up and there's a Pepsi truck driving by as I'm looking at a Chinese restaurant that has something called pho. And I'm like, well, it's called the Pho Restaurant. What's that all about? Never seen that before. No, I started talking to people, and they're like, Pho's been around for years. I'm like, well, what is it? It's bone soup. And I'm thinking, okay, well, the Orbs said not to eat meat. I'm sure bone soup is acceptable. I don't know. What do you think? I just think the emotions have a lot to do with a lot of the experiences I had.
Yeah. And a lot of people, like when you look at the masses now or society in general, I think our emotions are being either different things. The hustle and bustle of life and the normalizing of things that are crazy on TV that we see is really numbing our emotions. The way that they present things in entertainment, they'll have something really bad, really good in it from one scene. You really bombard our emotions that sort of numb them. The chemicals and the crap food isn't helping anything, in the outdoors as much. I think a lot of it all starts to play into either numbing our emotions, or I guess numbing would be the overall. So
well, sure.
Either dampening them or just mixing them up so they're not so if you go one extreme, you start to lose that feel of an extreme. It just starts to numb it in general.
And that's what
a lot of that's being done.
That's what they do.
Oh yeah, completely.
And I've noticed that, and I've said it before. You watch a football game, the first hour is about this child who's dying of cancer and his family, how strong they are. And then you get on watching the game and you're like, kill him, break his leg. Your emotions are flying all over the place. And they absolutely are doing this on purpose. And your emotions are probably the main ingredient on what you're going to experience around you. And you can't get that exciting, high vibration emotion up because you're so worried about the thing you just read in the paper. I had dinner with a guy who jumped across the street, had some steak, which I swear I was like, no, steak, if I'm going to eat meat, it can't be that bad. But anyway, we're talking, he's telling me about this story where I was, he knew it was a mistake to say, hey, I'm going across the street to get a steak. You want to join me? I'm like, yeah, I will. He knew it was a mistake because all I talked about was, why are you watching the news? Why do you watch news, man? You know what you're doing to yourself? And he's just looking at me like with this grin on his face. And I said, tell me, what's the last thing you remember about the news or whatever? And the story go, I don't know how we got into the conversation. I forget, but he was telling me something that he read today about this woman. And I totally said, this story is totally false. It did not happen. They just put it out there. Somebody's reading it and they're getting their emotions just chewed alive. This woman leaves her 8-year-old child home to watch a 2-year-old baby. She goes to work. The kid goes into a cabinet, gets a gun, continuously shoots the 2-year-old. Calls mom. That's not, dude. That's not even the best part. I say best. I don't believe this happened. Shoots the kid. Calls mom on the phone at work. Mom, I shot sis with the gun. Mom comes home.
Oh my goodness.
Wraps up the baby, cleans the sheets, buries the kid in the backyard, and goes back to work. Are you kidding me? That was the story. And I'm like, that whole thing was fabricated because you're reading that and you're going, oh my God, how could somebody? And then she went back to work. Oh my God, she's crazy.
Yeah.
I don't understand. There's no way the kid would have lasted 8 years with a woman like that. There's no way to me that story is even close to true, like it happened at all.
Why would a gun in a position that an 8-year-old can just go get it? It's like no one's going to do
that's what I'm saying.
Anyway.
That
it's so
that
ridiculous
alone,
on so many levels.
I know.
Yeah.
But this was a legit paper and all. I'm like, no, man. I said, do you realize that didn't even happen? When the Florida where was the last shooting? Where was the last false flag shooting?
It was Florida.
Was it Florida? When that happened,
yeah.
There were people coming to the bar talking about it, and I'm like, whoa. I mean, it took me probably 3 good school shootings to realize, wow, this stuff ain't real. Well, stuff might be happening. People might be dying, but it's not really happening. It's set up. And then I'm thinking, you know what? This stuff's not even happening. The whole thing is scripted. Especially with that news reporter, the couple or whatever. When that happened, I was like, wow, they blew it. I mean, that whole thing was totally scripted. Nobody died. I mean,
with some of them, it's hard to say how much is scripted, how much isn't, how much is true, and how much isn't. Yeah, it's tricky, and we got to be careful what we assume.
You got to remember this.
There's definitely issues with many of them.
You got to remember this. Who was it that said that you don't want to let any good tragedy go to waste? And so anytime you have something, and then we're living in a screwed up world. People will do some stupid things. So, some of the stuff you read, truth is stranger than fiction, man. And you just never know who's doing what. Now, whether or not it makes the news, it's got to be sensational. So if somebody goes on a shooting rampage or a shooting spree, and so be it. The news media is going to, if it bleeds, it leads. And does that mean all of them are real? No. Doesn't mean all of them are false either. I mean, people get killed all the time. People really are in different places. If it fits their agenda, then they're going to publicize it. They're going to make it bigger than it is, or they're going to twist and spin. It doesn't matter what you say. Look at the Mandela effect, for God's sakes. Just the effect itself. Those of us that know what has changed, or we remember it a certain way, but yet the mainstream has put a spin on it to make all of us look like idiots or total freakazoids or tinfoil hat wearing. And even the word conspiracy theorist has been so programmed in minds of man that they don't even look at the definition of what conspiracy is or what theory is. And so therefore, conspiracy theory becomes all of a sudden a bad word. I'm putting up hashtags with my fingers, but in reality, there are all these things are conspiracies, and some of them are conspiracy facts, not conspiracy theories. I mean, that's just the reality. Yeah. But they're going to spin it in so many different ways. Go ahead, Suze.
I was going to say a conspiracy fact. It's not a conspiracy. Look, I know what I saw when I studied the JFK assassination. I'll go back to that one every time. You're not going to convince me it was anything but 4 people in that car, and now there's 6. I think back to the 80s when alien abductions, it was a conspiracy. I believed it is real. There's, now that I don't feel outer space is what they've told us and what they've portrayed to us, I don't think they're the aliens that they've portrayed to us. I think if there are aliens to this world, it's going to be non-physical aliens.
Let me ask you a question. What is your definition of conspiracy without looking it up?
Well, conspiracy, my definition would be something that, I can't find the word, but it's not real. Okay,
that's what you're programmed. Now, let me tell you what the conspiracy definition is. Where 2 or more people conspire together to hide a matter. Now, do you understand conspiracy?
Okay, if that now that goes fine, because they were trying to hide aliens. No.
The truth of it, they were trying to hide whatever truth they had.
So they were trying to hide the truth of it.
Right.
Trying to hide the truth of it, saying,
look at the theory.
Exist.
What is a theory in your definition?
A hypothesis based on experience.
Okay. No, it's not experience.
Not experience, is it?
It's not experience at all, because experience proves fact. And that's why we have scientific experiments to prove some of these things. A theory is nothing more than an idea, a hypothesis, that is considered to be perhaps reality and then later put into whatever. I'll give you an example. The Big Bang Theory, the theory of relativity. All of these things are theoretical. They work good on paper in the mathematical sciences, but nothing proven. The theory of gravity has never been proven. That's fact. Electromagnetism has been proven and can be proven over and over in a lab. But gravity itself is a theoretical approach with numbers and words to try and explain the fact that if you knock an apple out of the tree, it will fall to the ground. Again, gravity is a theory. Okay, it's a word put on an idea. The theory of evolution, because, well, we all must have come from some sludge, and because certain fish can literally walk or get out of water, flying fish and walking fish and all this, and must have made it to the trees eventually through the lizards running and amphibious. And so all of these forms, eventually we jumped out of the trees and lost our tails like Curious George. So that's the theory of evolution. We've evolved from some sludge or whatever it may be, and there's no possible creation. However, we also have science, on the other hand, with proven things, experiments, and discoveries that prove that the theory of evolution is really lacking. The Big Bang Theory has some possibilities, but who caused the Big Bang, or what caused the Big Bang, what was before that, and such and such. And so that still lays a lot of theoretical science in there. Quantum physics, with its new discoveries and some of the nanotechnology and the things that we're seeing come to fruition, is showing that as above, so below, the macrocosm, the microcosm, that we have universes down within inside, that every grain of sand is a universe within itself. I mean, all of these are proven facts that can be experienced in a lab and over and over. A theory is the concept, a hypothesis of something or an idea without technical proof. Okay. Now, a conspiracy.
Is the Mandela effect a conspiracy to you?
No. I think the Mandela has become the conspiracy in the fact that there are at least 2 or more people trying to hide the fact, or trying to hide the matter. I'll give you an example. Look at NPR, okay? National Public Radio. It's one of the widest radio-based presentations in the United States, okay? And people listen to it from around the world, okay? NPR goes on there and does a show, pretty well scripted, and says Curious George never had a tail. Says the Mandela effect is what they do it on, and that all of the things they mention, Berenstain Bears and how it was always spelt with an A. They mention Curious George never had a tail. They talk about 2 or 3 other the mainstream kind of theories or Mandela effects that people, Luke, I'm your father was never said. All these are misconceptions according to what they say. And that was the title of it, Internet Misconceptions, the Mandela effect. And so they made out people on the NPR, National Radio, so that it automatically, whoever's controlling the media output, just like Fox News, done the same thing with We Are the World and the Monopoly Man never had a monocle and all of these things, even though you can pull up residue of it all throughout our line. But they take and put a spin. So whoever controls the mainstream media, well, that's handed down from about 6 individuals that control all media outlets that you have. On most cases on a global scale, it may be up a little bit more, about 12 people that probably on the global scale, because you have different countries involved. But for the most part, almost everything that goes out that you're allowed to see in any media form, movies, television programs, all of that has some control and some guidelines that they have to stay. And so they'll spin it, just like, okay, give you an example, this show X-Files, they did a thing with the Mandela effect, and then they even played with the name of that. They twisted it around, and by the end, they're showing it could be true, but the guy was carted off as a lunatic, even though they show you all these different things. And in one segment, and people don't even question it, in one segment, whoever they are, so he meets this guy and he explains to him, we can tell the public anything now. It doesn't matter because they don't know what to believe. They don't know what's true and what isn't. And so there is a conspiracy at a very high level as far as humanistic aspects. We're not talking about the spiritual realm necessarily, which of course that goes to, but we're looking at just the human aspect, that there is a conspiracy, which is at least 2 or more individuals trying to hide a matter. And so the Mandela effect, we're being told, is just total lunacy. Now, for the people that can't see the changes, it really is lunacy because their eyes are blinded. They can't see it. They don't understand it. They don't hear any changes in music. All the things is as it always has been. So to them, they're totally, hey, yeah, we're just a bunch of aluminum hat wearing nut bags, I guess. But ultimately,
they're the ones that aren't paying attention, or they're the ones that,
they have taken whatever those who can't see it have taken the downloads, as it were, or they've accepted the changes. And go talk to them. People that you've known for years since the Mandela effect, even they, in their emotions, are different. Start telling them what you know, and then all of a sudden you have a new enemy. I mean, it's just the facts. And so even personalities have taken changes during this whole effect. And so is it a conspiracy? Well, a conspiracy is where 2 or more are trying to hide the truth of a matter. So And is it a theory? Well, Mandela effect could be a theory, but we're seeing physical attributes change. We have residual. So where's the theory? There is no theory. It's a true phenomenon. Now, there's thousands of people experiencing misremembering or remembering differently what is currently history. Now, is it because the masses are the ones that have can't see, or they go with the changes or whatever, or are they the ones affected technically? We as Mandela effect people think so. We think that they've went with the changes, that something's happened. Regardless of what it is or who, it's not really a theory so much as it's a phenomenon. And so, but the whole concept of the media still puts a twist and a spin, just like they do everything. That we're nut jobs. So that just means that there's more truth to it and proof to it. Why are they so adamant to try, rather than study it or rather than bring it to the fruit? Somebody somewhere must know something. And does this go back to the largest machine ever built? I mean, is that where all the government funding is going to twist and manipulate something? I mean, are they making changes to the molecular realms? Are they actually able to send bits of information back to cause a change somehow? I mean, are they trying to hide the fact that maybe they're responsible, or something's gone wrong, or maybe they're just ticked off that all of us didn't take the change? I don't know.
Yeah,
and that would be a conspiracy theory.
Well, a lot of that, because I think this is natural. And if it's not, they were doing this back in the 70s, late 70s, as tests or something, maybe. But I really feel like we're seeing more of it now because of technology. And I really feel like it's natural, and it's been going all those time. And the collider and D-Wave and all these other things coming out. But just to make us think it's not natural, that they have control of it. I think we're the ones that have control of it. The word control, I don't really like.
I think it could be both. And I have to pose a question. Do we have full control over our own minds? Who has control over us?
Well, I think we do have control over our own minds as long as we don't pollute it. And the idea, it's not even the mind. So your mind is absolutely polluted. Mine is too. It's the heart is where you want to go. You want to think from your heart. And I think that's what the biggest problem is.
But you ask anybody, Sue, so I don't care who it is. Okay, because we got professionals from all walks of life. I mean, I had a simple little YouTube channel doing my little thing, right? Are you going to tell me that somehow I'm responsible, or you're responsible, or anybody else in the Mandela effect community is responsible for the changes that have taken place? Somehow we've manifested this reality? I don't believe that for a minute. I don't believe that, not for a minute, because most of the people wish that they didn't even know about the Mandela effect. The majority of people experiencing this have had their lives disrupted, flipped upside down, and wonder if they're losing their mind, losing their partners, losing jobs, losing the grip on reality. I don't think any of us manifested such.
And most of the people, if not all, have always been on a search for the truth. Yeah. Have always looked into conspiracies.
Right.
So there's that. But we're still programmed. Look, I feel like if the theory that I go with, that we can manipulate it, don't use it. If we line up our heart properly, and if there are times that it's easier to shift, we're being manipulated to not be able to do it. But I think we can. I just don't think we don't have full control over it. We don't have control over it, but I think we can. It's just what I think. I think we are holding this physical reality together on levels that we just don't understand.
I would definitely agree that it's being hidden. And I think it seems to me right now, and given the whole last election period, of course we have the shootings, but also the whole SpaceX thing going on, it became all like extremely clear to me about by the third launch and landing on SpaceX that was being set up and viewed or manipulated, or sorry, you say presented in such a way that clearly the flat earthers are going to jump all over it because they were messing it up on purpose. Clearly this is on purpose, right? This is this is ridiculous.
Right.
Like absolutely ridiculous that they're trying to cover something. No, they're not. Whether it's true or not, they're making it look not true somewhere. So someone has a reason to fight with somebody else. And I think they are in a final stage, let's call it, or the last straw of disinformation and confusion and distraction. And I think a lot of that probably comes back to the Mandela effect and things changing and going on. Oh, they don't care what anybody does as long as they don't look over there. Like, you know, hate your president, hate each other, the earth's flat, the earth's round. They don't care. They'll give you anything in this physical realm that you're willing to argue with people about. Have it, right?
Sure,
string them up,
pollutes
string
your
up Hillary,
mind.
string up Trump, all the better, right? Just don't look over here. And
Sure.
and for that reason, I think they're on, you know, hate NSA, hate the FBI, hate, you know, NASA's fake. Great, awesome. Yes, it's fake. There you go, right? Do anything, but don't look at the Mandela effect, which means, I would suspect it means it's the last, it seems to be in a final phase. And whether this is an intentional phase or not, whatever. But at the very last, it's their last straw. Like, do anything, you know. Just
The
don't
last
look over here.
final conspiracy. Molecular structure of physical reality is changing right before my eyes. It's happened.
Right.
I know it's happened to Guy Fawkes. You know, it's
my own kid has brought to me old toys. She had a Curious George with a tail that no longer has a tail. My kid brought me that animal and says, my monkey doesn't have a tail now. And I'm like, what? Really?
wow.
Yeah, no, I'm serious. And so, and when you got your own kid bringing you things out of their toy box that has changed, and then you go and look and find out, oh my gosh, it's the kid's not wrong.
Their mind's not polluted like ours.
Their mind has no concept of the pollution. That's right. And then when they're showing you things and saying, look, this isn't correct, this is something's wrong here, it's like out of the mouths of babes, as it were.
Right.
And it's like, okay, so now not only do I have my own proof of what I see, whether it be in the Bible verses or her jacket zipper, something personal, or literally map changes that I can remember, or the JFK thing. I mean, I was on that ship, the JFK. It was an aircraft carrier. That was where I was stationed. And so we did intensive studies on the JFK assassination. I know there were 4 people in that car. So now the rewriting of that concept, is this to make us look idiotic? Is this to separate us? And who's doing the pushing? I mean, is this like David Lee said in the thing? Is this an experiment gone awry, or is this a side effect from some major experiment? And I would claim that maybe, possibly, if I go to the scripture concept of it, it said man would think to change times and laws, and they would be given into his hand for a time and the times and the dividing of time. That was thousands of years ago that was written. Now, what does that mean? The times and dividing of time. And you hear that all the time, everywhere people are talking. Well, he's on this timeline or that timeline. There's a division of timelines. Christ said we're in this world, but not of it. I mean, everywhere you go, you can look at scripture that completely fits with what's going on. And we're told that these things, is it when he would change the times and laws? Are we talking about the times like history? Is he going to change history? What does that mean? Change times. Are we talking about just the calendar? We go from a lunar cycle to the Gregorian calendar? Or, I mean, what does it mean to change time? And now they're telling us from CERN experimentation, from Fermilab, with all of these different places that, I mean, there's 17 national labs in the United States, all of which are studying into this particle acceleration, ionization, and all of these different things that they can do, on a nanoscale in a realm that you can't see with the naked eye. And they're seeing results.
You're making it sound like it's not natural.
It's not.
Well, I think it might be,
brother, is it a natural thing? Hey, tell me in your lifetime when you were a kid where you were looking at a Kit Kat and all of a sudden the dash disappears.
I get
all
that.
of a sudden, yeah.
I get that. And what I'm saying is I feel that we can create, we are creating, and we're being manipulated, and that's why we're creating the crap around us. It's when you bring in the child and things happen that the child's noticing. Yeah, it's too long a conversation. I need to think about that. I need to try and understand that, and it would probably get too complicated.
David Lee said in your chat room, says, I've asked the question, are the prophecies in religion, are they prophecy or a plan of action that's 2,000 years old? And we know that for whatever reason, even Paul said that system was at work, that Antichrist system or beast system or whatever was at work even back then. We've known for centuries about groups like the Illuminati and how they changed their names over, and some of these other secret organizations and the Cross of Malta and all these things that work through the Vatican and the different major players in the world. And different governments and things like that, and the secret organizations behind them. We've seen that for centuries, and they've all had the same plan, this new world order. I mean, how long have you been carrying that around? Novus Ordo Seclorum on your dollar bill. And so, yes, there is a push, whether it be from a spiritual, and we're not just talking biblical. There's other religions that point to the same thing, that there's this final shebang coming.
Yeah, because they're losing control. At least that's how I understand it.
They want you to think that, but I think they really are.
Yeah,
I think you're right.
And the natural thing, I do really feel that, but I think that's what we're trying to wake up to. I think that's what a lot of us are waking up to. That, yeah, we've been creating this garbage because of what we've been fed. And I don't think it's anybody's fault except our own that we allowed it to happen. But how are we not going to? We were born, we were indoctrinated into this.
Okay, look, that would be like me telling my kid, look, the reason the tail on your monkey is gone is because you've allowed that to happen.
No, I'm not saying he did. I'm not saying he created that by doing that. We're being manipulated to see the changes, and it may be a positive thing. Because now I'm thinking there might be three things going on here. This might be a natural way of life. How do I label this?
Book number 3.
Number 2. The negative. Number 3. The negative part would be the devil, Lucifer, whatever, manipulating, trying to confuse, and God, the absolute whatever, is trying to send positive messages going, hey, look, physical reality is not what you've been told, and I'm shooting you little clues here.
Okay, so go with what you just said there. If we look at that, there are 3 ultimate players in the game. Okay?
Us, God, and the devil. If you want, if
us,
I can
if you want to label it that harsh, that's straight.
I
human,
don't want to label on
mankind.
anything.
No,
me.
that's the way it is. You have the creator, okay?
Well,
source, creator, God.
Different. Okay, we'll go God.
Okay, God. Then you have the evil side of God. God
which
being,
I think is the creator.
good.
That's why it's tough for me to listen and say, okay, the creator, because I think it was evil that created physical reality.
Well, check this out, though. God created evil. The Bible says God created evil.
Absolutely had to.
The Bible says that, bro. It says God created evil. Lucifer wouldn't exist. Yes, the Bible says God created evil.
That directly?
Yes, it does.
That directly?
Yes, brother.
In this timeline. Well, actually,
it says God created evil.
he's got that Bible down, no joke. So I'd have to say
It's
if
in
he
the New
says it's in
Testament.
there, it's in there.
In the New Testament, Paul said it. It says God created evil, and goes on to tell more. It wasn't stopped there. It wasn't a period there. It was a continuation. But it says God created evil. And if you want proof of that, it backs its own self up in the Old Testament. God said, let there be light, and there was light. Now let's consider that for a minute. Lucifer is the angel of light. I believe, personally, just my opinion, when God said, let there be light, Lucifer was born. Why? Because he was one of the three angels, the archangels, that was above God. And when all of the creation looked upon God, the angel of light, most beautiful of all creation, the Bible describes him in such detail, and he had pride, because when people looked and bowed before God Almighty, the light that shone from above him in the throne room was from the angel of light. We are told that Lucifer comes as the angel of light. Okay? So you have angel Lucifer, this great light, who is proud of his beauty, his magnificence, his grandeur, and so much so in his arrogance and beauty, he took a third of heaven with him. The angels followed after him. Okay? This is scriptural. This is all story. I'm paraphrasing some cases, but in most part, I mean, all this can be looked up, verified in your scripture, unless they're changing it more and more. But God created Lucifer, ultimately. Lucifer is our evil counterpart that we see in this world, the good and the versus evil. Okay, the battle is for your soul. Because of Lucifer's fall, the only way to hurt God, his creator, is to take out what God loves. What does God love? He says he so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son. What's he love? He loves mankind. He made man just a little lower than the angels. And yet we're given the opportunity later, it tells us, that we'll even judge the angels, those fallen that have caused all this stupid chaos to start with. But this is Lucifer's world. He's been cast to here. Says he runs around as a lion, seeking whom he may devour. Christ, when he went up for 40 days into the wilderness, Lucifer went up there with him and said, hey, are you hungry? Eat one of these rocks, man. We can turn this into bread. Just tell God to turn it into bread. You can eat. And he started going up there and he's tempting him. And in a moment of time, it says that Lucifer showed Christ all the cities of the world. Doesn't say he showed the cities then. He says all of the cities of the world. That would insinuate that in a moment of time, a fraction, a dot, a speck, a second, that all the world, from the beginning to the end, all the cities of the world were shown to him. So time is not a big factor with them. He's inside and outside of time. Okay? Different entity. If you're in that quantum realm, you understand time is not really the big issue, because you can move forward and backward in the quantum realm. That's what wormholes and all of the stuff that they're studying about dark matter and black matter and tapping into these places and opening the veil. That's what all of this scientific stuff is about. They're opening that realm. And it's, dude, if you could go back in time, wouldn't you? Wouldn't you?
Absolutely.
And if you got the money, you're one of these big to-dos. Say you could take Tesla's work and his paper. Every electronic we have, even all the way into the quantum scale of computers now, every bit of it comes from Tesla technology. If you were a rich enough individual to be able to have some sort of machine, whether you could just send bits of information back to affect your future, like little tidbits of information, because everything's on information, and we understand when we break it down to the particles that are so small, the quarks and all of that, down into the complete gluons, which is matter that we can't see, dark matter, the realm that exists between us that we can't see. We call it, in Christian world, the spiritual realm, where those angels and demons exist, as we would say. And all a demon is really is part of the fallen, disembodied, as it were. Perhaps further than Nephilim. Different studies altogether. The point being is that they are tearing rips in what we know as reality, the structure of this world, by design, by fallen technology given to man from those that would be the fallen, as it were, to influence man, to open up a portal I mean, you think about where CERN is located and you look into all of that and consider all of the aspects of what that's about, what they're really doing. And everything's compartmentalized just like it is in the military. I mean, you think about it. How many military actions have taken place in history from all countries? It doesn't matter. Just pick a military. We'll just play with America since that's where we're at. How many actions has taken place in our military that the man on the ground that did the shooting or the tank driving or the helicopter flying or the machine gunning or whatever attack was taking place on whatever village or whatever group or whatever was deemed as an enemy, that man on the ground doing that to survive and serve his country, as it were, did nothing more than follow orders. He had no enemy on the ground until it was made an enemy. How many military actions have taken place that innocent people have been massacred or have died because of somebody at the top who doesn't get their suits dirty, just passes down an order? It happens all the time. Innocent people die, whether it's soldiers or civilians, even babies. They say war is hell and all is fair in love and war. We've been programmed to believe that. If every soldier in the world would lay their guns down, all the governments of the world would poop in their pants.
If we had no governments, there would never be a war. The biggest fight we'd have is,
And
hey,
that
you looked at
is
my girl.
the goal of the mainstream New World Order. Let's bring it all under one umbrella with one leader at the very top. And they can tell you we have alien intervention for guidance so we don't destroy ourselves.
That's where they'll keep you in fear. There's aliens now.
That'll be the new enemy, yeah.
Sure, we're not going to fight ourselves anymore because we're too evolved.
And if Revelation holds any truth and the prophecies are true, and I put an if there because I know some people don't believe that way, but if they are true, we're getting ready to see a major war, and coming out of that war, you're going to see a new leader stand up, and somewhere along that line, they're going to cause you to go into the Bitcoin system. You're going to end up getting into the chip system because the monetary is all going to break down in a matter of moments as they clean up during the war or after the aftermath. If these prophecies are fact, then eventually they're going to open a bigger hole. So far, the longest CERN has been able to hold a door open into that realm. If you go in there and look at their stuff, where they bust these particles, the longest they've been able to keep a door open, or a doorway, a portal, if you will, whatever you want to call it, a hole, even though it's a pinprick.
I don't think it's a hole or a portal. I think it's actually just a wave throughout physical reality that makes it possible for the spiritual realm to gain grip on the physical world.
Well, I'm just telling you what they've said about how they've opened this particular.
It's to bring the blow up higher, essentially.
Right. But the longest they say, well, and again,
you know how
you know how I believe on retrocausality and the whole wave thing, for sure. Something there in that wave function, and everything is about frequency, and we understand these things. But when they're exploding these things, there is a chaos at explosions. When an explosion takes place, it is actually the lack of order that creates a chaotic explosion. I mean, it's chaos. The point is where they've opened this thing, according to them, the longest they've kept it open is, I believe, 16 seconds. Dude,
wow, that's it.
To be able to open something and keep it open, like tearing a veil in the space in front of your face, like opening into that realm, to open it and hold it literally open long enough for 16 seconds, brother, is a lifetime. Lifetime.
I've not heard this. I haven't heard the 16-second thing, or them saying that where did that come from?
From CERN. I've gone in there and done the research, brother. I said I've shelved so many different things in one of those videos, some of my last couple of videos. I said I've shelved so much that I would love to share, and I really have. But I was deep studies into this stuff, man. Deep.
I was
Watching
deep studies
everything.
into what they were doing too.
Go into
I'd never come
CERN.
up with that.
Go to CERN website and go in there, start through their
Right.
history, and then go in and look at their experiments. Just go to the CERN website.
And you can't trust anything they're going to put up there.
No, but the longest they've been able to keep this open from exploding these things together. And this, what they tell you is going to be limited, but the longest they've been able to keep it open, according to their own words, is 16 seconds. If that is true, not saying it is, that's just what they've said. If that is true, and the physicists have done this, and all of them tell you about other dimensions, the D-wave computer, when you start looking at quantum physics and quantum manipulation, think about it. This computer, this D-wave is pulling information from nowhere. And they show you that. It's pulling it from where? Another dimension. Well, what is that other dimension? Is it another Earth? No, it's from that invisible realm. It's the quantum area. They have so many qubits, interesting qubit that they would use that word. They are pulling bits of information or able to pull out from this one spot. Now think about this. CERN said we can open this. We don't know if we send something in or what will come out. Now think about this. Just hypothetical, you can go and look and see what they're doing. Hypothetically, let's say CERN has crashed these beams, plasma, all this stuff. They're running this stuff. They say if we could get to the speed of light, then we could probably, well, it's light to start with. Think about that, folks. They're using plasma that is already light. It is already at the speed of light, even though they tell you we're just under the speed of light. It's at the speed of light. It's a continuous circle that they're busting these things. Forget how many explosions per second. They are opening, if they can open a doorway, just a pinprick, a portal, just a little dot where they say that they can send in bits of information. Well, if they can pull the bits of information back out through the quantum computer, which can tap into that regardless of time, it can go back or forward. It's ones and twos, up and down, can be both at the same time. They use, like David even pointed out, quantum tunneling. That's exactly right. And to us, that's really
what was he talking about?
Quantum tunneling is where it's basically, to you might know it as a wormhole, where they can literally go through with this computer and basically go through time with information. They can't send people back, okay? They're not sending people back. But here's the point. Say they open up the hole. They pull information out of the D wave, and then the information they have there, whether it's nothing more than just numbers and configurations, and then it's bits of information on a molecular level. They can send those codes or those kinds of calculations, frequency changes in through that hole, into that other realm, and cause a quantum entanglement on that invisible realm that's all around you all the time, where they say it's dark matter, that kind of deal, okay? Like the mirror, the flip side of where we are, where angels dwell and can come in and out, the interdimensional concept. Now, if they can do that, they put it in there, they say, we don't know what to ask the D-Wave computers. And they've upgraded now, I don't know how many times, they keep getting bigger and bigger. It pops out here, and you put in the information there, and you can literally, because of quantum tunneling, because of this whole deal, as they run this thing, you can literally change time. Now, here's the problem. In that realm, that dark realm of chaos, if you put particles over there and it quantum entangles, then there's a displacement from this side to that side as it connects, because this, Albert Einstein called it strange or spooky action at a distance, and that's what we're talking about, is quantum entanglement. If I want to twist an atom in the laboratory here, it will twist anywhere across the universe. Well, let's say I send it into that realm of invisibility, and when they're looking at these things, when these explosions are happening with these particles, that's exactly what they're doing. They've created a magic circle of light that has these four corners, these four towers, if you will, of their experimentation, where they're busting these things, and they literally are popping holes into the ether realm, if you want to call it that. And when they do that, they see particles that go out and disappear and pop back in identical particles or almost identical from another direction. And this is a continuous thing that they're doing during these explosions. There's so much going on, and they're using quantum computation to analyze this, and then sending that information, pulling that information out, knowing what to do and get all of their answers. Because man just ain't got the brain enough. They think they're smart, but they really aren't. None of us are that smart. But they're doing this.
This would be the evil part that I was talking about before. They are manipulating.
Right. They think they're dealing with sources from another realm or another world. They think they're dealing with gods or perhaps ourselves from another realm or whatever. They don't know where it comes from. And if you talk to any of them, they all will tell you, we're not really sure how it works, but we can manipulate reality. We know that. And that's an amazing thing for them to state publicly. And you have different people, different quantum theorists and scientists that are working in the quantum field theory, and they're proving this with these systems. Okay. Now, when they send these magnetics out, now remember, CERN's the largest machine on the earth. Every time they fire it up and they're hitting these explosions, it's like trying to harness Hiroshima, Nagasaki 10 million times. We're talking, I mean, just the big kind of bombs, all being kept in one little enclosed space, like you could hold it in your hand. Now, I mean, we're talking that much fusion and interaction there with this stuff going on. They started with hydrogen gases because that was the molecules was so explosive in that. But anyway, so now imagine you got this in the size of your hand, the explosion of Hiroshima just held down in that tight little spot. And that's basically what they're doing in this experiment. And when they're busting it, that energy, if you ever watched an explosion when they did all the nuclear testing, watch how those explosions go. And at the top of it, it looks like it literally opens the atmosphere at one point. And when you see that, where it just seems to open up a hole in an area that doesn't even exist, it's like opening up space for a moment in time, and it comes back closed real quick. But ultimately, if you watch it in slow motion, it literally looks like it tears a hole in the ether realm. I mean, it puts a hole where there is nothing, and it's an amazing thing. And that's what they're doing on a regular basis with CERN. Okay, now in this thing that they're doing and where they're doing it, all of it has a reason. The historical location, it used to be considered the place called the gates of hell. Why is that important? Well, if you read Revelation and see the Apollyon, why do they have Shiva out front of this place as their big motto? I mean, it's some crazy stuff, and they're doing this regularly. If it's true, every time they fire off the magnetics, it shoots out a wave, and that wave distorts. They say it's a stronger magnetic pulse, stronger magnetics than the Earth's normal magnetic pull. If that's true, then it's disrupting the whole entire Earth and the magnetic flux and the whole Schumann resonance, so much so in that wave that it can literally change matter and manipulate the minds of man, because frequency waves of our own brains are being hit. Now, why is it that we see the Mandela effect? We see what was and see it as changes? Well, because somehow maybe our mind's been protected. I don't know. I don't know why.
Chosen as a witness.
I don't know. Maybe.
But what you're talking about is making me think, okay, the infinite timeline thing that I resonate with, it's possible that that's not what's actually going on. I think it's definitely a part of it, because if you take away infinite, to me, you limit God. And all night long, I've been defining it as God, and I don't like defining it as anything because that limits it to me. Putting a dome on a flat physical plane limits God to me. But I can't help but to think, what if, okay, this quantum entanglement thing, could there not be infinite? I don't want to use the word timelines. With quantum entanglement, couldn't there be infinite catalysts, infinite directions to go in with that.
Well, one of the
You're
theories,
manipulating
you're
one
almost,
thing and something else is
you're talking
happening
about
over
the
here.
multiverse. You're talking about the multiverse concept. It's like I told Rachel that one day. I was explaining to her, you could be in this universe, you're wearing a red shirt. In the next one over, according to the D-Wave Gordy Rose and his kinds of explanations, basically what he would be stating is that in this one, you're wearing the red shirt. In the other one, you're wearing a yellow shirt. The next one over, you're probably wearing a white shirt. There's one of them out there. There's so many of them infinitely in either direction that you're probably not wearing a shirt at all. There might even be one, Suso, where me and you got a full head of hair. Who knows? Who knows? The point is that if that were the case, which I don't think it is, that would really be cool. But there still wouldn't make the difference of you being who you are, because you are still you. No matter how many other yous there are, or clones, or doppelgangers, or whatever, they are who they are. Even if there are more of you somewhere, you here are still here, and you here. That's it.
It's my consciousness that's here. That's the only thing that's here. And if that's shifting through other timeline, it's still my.
Well, your consciousness is aware of the physical body that you adorn, if you want to put it that way. Cut your finger right now and tell me you can't feel some pain. Your consciousness is aware of the actual space that you occupy. And therefore, if it's just your consciousness jumping from one body to the other, cut your finger off today and then see if you can transform tomorrow and come back with a finger. I don't know that that will happen. I don't know that it won't. I'm just saying.
We've been programmed to absolutely not believe that. That's not how physical reality works, although it probably is.
And yet we see people healed and people get up and walk, and the blind given their eyesight.
They believe it. They believe it. And they lined it up with their heart.
Right. They have faith. They have faith.
That is the best explanation I've ever heard of faith.
Well, that's what it is.
Up with your heart.
Yeah, and you got to believe it. I mean, you got to know it. It's not just
you got to know it. You're absolutely right, because beliefs change. We know that, right?
Here's the thing. David Lee says separation is an illusion. Now, I don't know exactly because of the definitions of all of the word illusion and all the definitions of the word separation. There is a possibility that separation is an illusion. In the sense that we are all connected on a molecular level. Even you and I across this. You're out in Colorado, I'm over in Tennessee, and Nobleness is up in Canada. And all of us, plus everybody in the chat room, wherever they are, we're all connected if we look at it on a molecular level and in the qubit and in the quantum molecular particles and all of that. We're all connected. Okay, that's a fact of reality, because I breathe out, the oxygen molecules that are here, that comes up to the ideas of butterfly effects, where, you see a butterfly's wing here, it causes a tornado over there, and then a hurricane on down the road, all of those kinds of concepts. But we are truly all connected on a molecular level. If you go down looking at yourself, I've used this analogy 1,000 times. You look at you look at the sleepy in your eyes, it's some other kind of entity, a bug of some sort that actually leaves excrement or poop on your eyelashes. That's what the sleepy is you wipe out of your eyes. It's actually bug poop on a smaller level. Just wanted to let you know that. So take a shower and wash your eyes out. The point is our body is covered with all kinds of these entities and creatures. The cells are alive inside of you. Your whole physical biological makeup is not even one thing. Are you your finger, or is your finger yours? You understand what I mean? And so, you are not one thing. Now, David Lee follows up. Everything is one energy field. I agree. If you look at Tesla's work, the electricity that's going around, that's where the Schumann resonance comes in. It's all one big electrical field. And if you look at string theory, going all the way down into supersymmetry and those kinds of things, when we get into this quantum scale and level, then exactly that's what it is. It's all energy. It's all light. And therefore, you see that Lucifer, the one that runs this world, the angel of light, is the Lord of the airwaves. And this is why we can talk to each other from miles away using airwaves and things along that line without ever actually touching each other. And yet we're all touching each other. But we just can't see it because we're not aware of the molecular realm. We're not aware of that spirit realm. Everything is so small. So technically, separation is an illusion. However, if we come back up to the macrocosm, right now, I am separated from you. I'm not there in Colorado. I'm here in Tennessee. My physical, if I die here, is not going to affect you all the way out there. Do you understand what I mean?
Well, yeah, but sure it would.
Well, yeah, because you wouldn't have your book covers done. I understand that. My point being, though,
Could you
is
do me a
that,
favor and finish those up quick before you?
man, you know, how many did I put out there for you, bro? It took you how long to
I
look at them? Come
know.
on, now
Oh,
you gotta
I
rush
want.
me. I'm not in no hurry. I'm still rewriting it. Okay, man.
I have to make.
Timeline, and then you rush me at the very end, like, oh, now I gotta have it. Jeez.
I have to start the sequel just because I want to use those covers. That's why I said, did you get the email I sent you?
I did. I haven't really got to look at it yet.
Because I think I described what I'm looking for in there, and I love.
So are you telling me I've got to redo the whole cover? Is that what it is? You couldn't?
No. Actually, you're just going to take that one with the gold mirrors and put a couple of your other
ideas to it. Yeah, that we were talking about.
In those mirrors inside the book, and on the back, you can wing it however you want. And I'm going to go with you.
In other words, the back should sort of mirror the front. No, that's an inside joke. I
also thought about just putting that green mirror on the back, just that by itself.
I like that one, bro.
Or you had a green.
Yeah.
Maybe change the color.
Change the color of the mirror back to a gold, maybe to match the front, and then have that there. Oh yeah, I like that.
And it may be peering through the front of the book or something.
Yeah, and that'll give you room for the Yeah, well, I'll play with that. Okay. Yes, sir.
I would like to see this admittance by CERN that they're tearing off hole or portal in anything, because of all I've seriously done hours. I've listened to hours of lectures from scientists, head scientists, head project managers speak for hours in lectures to other scientists.
Yeah.
They've never said anything about tearing holes or opening portals.
Brother, I ain't lying.
The purpose of the
you got to go in there. It's actually typewritten in their articles. It's not somebody speaking verbatim there. It's actually written in their articles. You have to read it. You're not going to hear it. You're going to have to read it. Now, there may be somebody saying it. I just don't know which one or where to tell you to go to hear that. I've heard different ones talk about the different dimensional things. Giotti, I don't know how to pronounce that woman's name. She talks about the dimensional tapping in or how to keep those open. And she was like, she's a big physicist over there on that. She does discuss it a little bit. But if you want to find it, it was on the CERN Switzerland's page, on the Switzerland thing. I'll have to look it up. I'll try and find the link for that. I may even have the document downloaded, bro, because when I come across stuff like that, like I said, I've tried to grab it and hang on to that kind of information. I actually had worked on part of a video that I was going to expose that, because I was also doing research in what's called the dark web. So I was behind Google. I was behind YouTube. I wasn't looking on the common everyday flow of things. I was looking into the depths, and you can get into some deep dark stuff there, bro. That's it's ooh. And there's the diabatic system.
I've heard of the concerns. I've heard of concerns from other scientists that, and it was from the beginning before they even lit CERN up, that they may cause a black hole was a concern, because the intensity and the impact
that was back
more
in the
than
early
they've ever
days.
done before.
Right. And one of the concerns was brought forth by
the purpose of CERN was to collide. What they're doing is they're colliding protons, and they get the protons from ionizing hydrogen. For a few weeks of the year, they are colliding, I believe it's a lead particle, it's a very heavy particle.
Yeah,
but they're colliding ionized hydrogen, the protons from it.
Plasma now.
And when they collide it, they're saying they're looking for other particles, and that's what they're doing at the 4 locations you're referring to: the Atlas, the CMS, the Alice, and the LHC. They're 4 different analyzing locations.
What happens is when those particles, when they actually get them, they're what got them on the bizarre run. Now you got to remember this too, Noble.
Nobleness, sorry that happened. John, sorry it happened. Everybody out there on chat that I won't be looking at now, sorry that happened. I'm sure them two will be fine. I guess I can wrap it up unless I get Noble back, because I would like to hear what he had to say. That was getting so deep, I was kind of tuning out there. I did want to mention, I think I mentioned in the beginning that I was supposed to do that live trivia show tomorrow night, but they're having structural problems, so it's been postponed till next week. Um, I guess I can jump in there and say, yeah, I really think CERN may have something to do with it. I think naturally there could be something to do with this. And is there divine intervention? Yeah, sure, probably. But what's going on is probably anybody's guess. We get into these, or I do anyway, I get into analyzing it. I try and analyze it down to the bone so I can understand it. That's why I come up with, and I can't even say it was me that came up with the theory on we're jumping from this timeline to this timeline. Now, I wrote it down in pretty good detail on the Mandela effect site back in late 15, possibly January 16, possibly. I think they closed the chats or the comments down in February or March. So it's probably more like December of 15 when I just wrote out what I felt like could be happening. And it was the multiverse, infinite timelines, consciousness is the only thing that's real. So I got into that pretty heavy there back then. And here I am, almost 3 years later. And, where have we gotten? Rachel talked about this on the show. I think I briefly might have been able to listen to it because I'm guessing it was either the Saturday, probably the Monday show. That's probably the only one I even was able to get to. But she said something about, and this is the beginning when I was going to say this. I don't want to say that because I don't think she said that. Something to the effect where I agreed about, I don't want to chase Mandela effects. I don't want to be sitting here doing these videos still trying to figure out what it is, because I'm going to have to put this down. I say soon. Could be months, could be weeks. There are things I want to do for this show. Just ideas I've had that I really want to do. The main thing for me was a lot of people are up at this hour across the country and they'll have something to jump on and check out. But I think that's probably a good place to wrap it up. I don't think there was anything on here. I want to apologize to Scott Harrison because I know that was my faux pas. I sent quite a few emails out. Trivia took care of that. I sent out all kinds of emails for people to come into the show tonight, and if they're not sleeping, they didn't get the email. Right, and it's at some point, I say I've come up with this formula. I feel that I have created things, and I can feel it. I can feel when stuff's not going to work. That's how I know. That's how I feel that something has actually happened. But I do believe Photo and Nobleness D are right in that there are other things involved. Even with the shifting timeline concept theory, that's probably not the whole of it. It's probably so much more involved with CERN, D-Wave, good and evil, divine intervention. That's probably the best way I could describe that. I think it's possible all those things are affecting this. And I guess, when Photo talks about fear, and like I say, trying being a tool. I mean, if there's anything I fear, I guess it's not doing something that I should have known, not doing something like doing this. I'm trying to figure it out. I listen to myself. I'll go back and watch these. And I'm like, oh, yeah, okay. Did I get anything out of that? Am I making any sense? This is where I learn. This is where I'm picking things up. This is where I'm able to figure out possibly what's going to keep me sane instead of, just, oh my God, physical reality is changing. Physical reality is not what we've been told. What are we supposed to do with that? It can't just be to sit back and wait. I can't imagine it would be to sit back and wait for other things to happen and watch other people go through a world war or whatever, because if it's possible, even partially, to consciously shift your consciousness into a timeline where you don't have to deal with wars, well, we're going to do that. We're going to have that 1,000 years of peace that I've heard about that's supposedly in the Bible. I don't know if it still is. That's where I'm shifting. That's where my focus is. And if they're going to manipulate, I'll just, if it's natural, then I'm going to win out. And I have faith that that's going to happen, because that's, and I don't even know what the right words are, but I use faith. The word faith, it makes more sense to me now because of something John said. I absolutely love having both those guys on. I love the deepness that both of them talk about. Yeah, we take turns and letting everybody get their point out. That's what happens in all these shows. So, but I want to thank both of them for coming in and really saving me, because, once again, this, as far as I'm concerned, and the other two shows also so far, just turn out for you guys to come in and chat, enjoy yourselves. And one of my initial ideas was to have people call in that really need to talk to somebody. I'm thinking they're out there now. This says I have 27 viewers right now. I bet there's a handful that aren't chatting, that listen to this stuff because are being affected and really don't know where to turn. I'm not here to tell them what's going on, because I don't know. I have theories that I resonate with, and I like other people's theories too. But there's other people's theories I can't stand. But they could be right. They could be right on. Who knows? But I think, one of the original ideas was to have people call in that can't talk to people and work about it, or, see the changes. Have saw them for years, thought they were crazy, wouldn't go to a doctor because you're just going to end up taking pills, and that's the end of that. So anyway, I'm going to say good night, everybody. And next week, I'm just going to go ahead and say I'm not going to do this. If something big comes up, I'm sure I will. What I'm going to do is this next week, I'm going to do the trivia. I'll do the trivia live. It will be Thursday, 7:30 p.m. Mountain Time. I'll be filming. I convinced Luke next door to go ahead and do the emceeing and ask the questions. So hopefully that'll turn out really well. And good night, everybody. Hope you had a nice time. Hope you enjoyed.